So the first question I have regarding that book is what it means to think of the origin of life as the origin of reasons. And as I was reading, this locution reminded me of my conversation with your colleague at Tufts, Michael Levin, who views intelligence as problem solving
Yes.
and inextricably connected to competence.
Yes. Yeah. David Deutsch, the Oxford physicist, has a wonderful TED talk called The Great Monotony, where he talks about how for several billion years, roughly 14 billion years, nothing much happened and nothing did anything. And then life got started, and then doers appeared, things that didn't just happen, but things where there was an agent that was doing something. And this changed everything, and it changed everything very fast, and it's speeding up ever since. So the great monotony ended, and life flourished, and there were many more things possible that were not possible before. Many new combinations came into existence. Complex molecules, very complex molecules, macromolecules, proteins and things like that, motor proteins and ribosomes, and all these amazing parts of a living cell. And they all come about because of evolution. Evolution is what makes that all possible. And it's as hard to say when life began as it is to say when consciousness begins. If we're good Darwinians, we recognize that gradualism reigns. There are lots of false starts. There are lots of partial solutions to problems. And who's to say when the first actual replicator came into existence? One of my favorite points about the very earliest days of life is that the first replicator didn't have to replicate fast because it didn't have any competition. Maybe it took 1,000 years for it to make an offspring. Who cares? Time doesn't matter. But once replication gets going, replicating faster and more efficiently becomes a desideratum, a goal. Now, the first living things didn't represent their goals, but they acted as if they had them. And they acted for reasons, and their parts survived and flourished for reasons that they didn't have to recognize. Most of the reasons in the living world do not have to be recognized by the creatures whose equipment is explained by those reasons. And so we have what I call competence without comprehension, which is wonderful capacities, wonderful competences, wonderful abilities, which the owners of those abilities don't have to appreciate, don't have to understand, don't have to know why they're good, but they are good. They lead to your having more offspring than the competition. And that's what starts the great ball rolling. That's from bacteria. Then eventually we get to Bach, who is not just alive, and not just doing things for reasons, but quite capable of reflecting on those reasons and revising those reasons and arguing about those reasons and sharing them and learning from others and building on huge networks of cultural creation that went before him and figuring out the reasons why some things work and why some things don't. So you get self-conscious reasoning, which I say lags way. There were reasons long before there were reasoners. Mother Nature, evolution, did things for reasons that evolution didn't have to understand. But we, in retrospect, can look back and say, oh, this is why this works. This is the reason why the parts are arranged this way. If you look at something like a ribosome and see all of the intricate moving parts that are clicking away at a fantastic rate and making copies of the DNA, there are reasons why the parts are arranged that way, but nobody, the first people to understand what the first thinkers to understand what those reasons were the microbiologists who won the Nobel Prize for working out the structure of the ribosome. Before that, nobody knew what the reasons were. They didn't have to.